Welcome back to A Shark's Perspective. So as I mentioned on part one, I had the pleasure of speaking twice at LeadsCon's Connect to Convert conference, and they also asked me to podcast live from the expo hall, which was filled with all the conference attendees. I'm releasing the series of interviews that I recorded while there and that were also broadcast over the intercom. And this is part two with a friend, excellent speaker, and another previous interview from way back on episode 82. I'll add a link so that you can find his previous episode also. Tom Shapiro is the CEO of Stratabeat, the author of Rethink Your Marketing, and he also led a couple of sessions at 2019's Connect to Convert conference. And on this episode, we'll discuss lead gen, why some marketers are scared of data, creative agencies that should have more of a focus on performance and growth, hiring the right person, the evil last click, legal seafood, and a lot more. So let's tune in to a rethinking expert with a shark you'll think about way too often on this episode of A Shark's Perspective. Welcome back to A Shark's Perspective here at LeadsCon's Connect to Convert conference. I'm with Tom Shapiro. So Tom, tell us a couple minutes for the people in the room who don't know who you are, who didn't check your session yesterday, but will have a chance to hear you again today. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and where you are here locally.
Thanks, Shark, for having me on. So I'm Tom Shapiro. I'm the CEO of Stratabeat, which is an agency here in Boston. We're a B2B branding, marketing, and design agency. We focus heavily on the digital side, and we service the middle market. So companies, from $50 million in size to half a billion in size. And I wrote a book called Rethink Your Marketing, which teaches you different strategies to unleash growth based on lateral thinking. It's available on Amazon. And through my career, I've worked with over 20 different Fortune 500 brands, everyone from AT&T to Universal Healthcare to Hewlett-Packard to many different brands at Procter & Gamble. And what brings me here to Connect to Convert is I was speaking yesterday about conversion optimization. I'll be speaking later today about behavioral intelligence.
So, as a creative agency, you and I have discussed this before on a previous episode, but for somebody that leads creative, what do you think sort of the differentiator for a lot of agencies that are in the performance marketing space? I mean, we're all here to drive growth. How does a creative agency really position themselves to do that better from a creative standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Well, the bottom line is you have to have very strong ideas that generate results, right? And nothing is more powerful than that. However, you need to be able to back all of that up. You need to have data that acts as evidence for your creative decisions. Because no matter how creative it is, you still need to have high-performing assets, right? Whether it's a website, landing page, a campaign, everything needs to be proven to work. And so we're highly based on data. All of our decisions are based on data, whether it's web analytics, whether it's behavioral data. We do a deep dive in that. And then we also couple that with neuroscientific principles and an understanding of human psychology. And so when you layer all of that together, we feel that that's where the most powerful marketing comes from.
So do you find often today, and I talk about this a lot as well, having a data background, do you find a lot today that brands are still relying too much on gut and what they've done historically that they think's worked because it just felt right for them to use the 1995 offer because that's what they're used to for the last 100 years?
Yes, absolutely. We see it all the time. So as an agency, we meet lots and lots of different companies in different industries. And one thing that we see is a lack of reliance on actual data for the website, which is surprising in this day and age. But for instance, But
you still hear it as a problem daily. I hear it as a problem daily that we have
Absolutely.
so much data. It came up in presentations yesterday. How much more data that we had. I heard it at a conference last week. We have more access to data than we've ever had before, but we still don't have enough marketers using it to connect the dots.
Absolutely, and a good example of that is, so I speak around the country at different marketing conferences, and one question that I commonly ask is, how many in the audience are using behavioral data, right? And can you guess what the percentage in the audience is using it? And this doesn't matter whether it's a conference in Texas or in Boston or Chicago. It's always the same.
10%.
It's less than 10%.
And then there's
always.
another 3% that ask, what's behavioral data?
Yes. And So it's typically less than 5% in the room. However, one time, well, actually for the past couple of years, I've been speaking at a customer experience conference. So that's the only conference in the country that I've spoken at where it got closer to 10%. But everywhere else, it's more like 5%.
Why do you think that is?
I think people are intimidated by it.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good point.
I think everyone needs to look out for their job, and so they
Yeah.
want to be very confident in what they're recommending. And so, years ago it was conversion optimization data. You would see a lot of people hesitating towards actually implementing it because it was something new and something a little daunting. And that's what we see with behavioral data today. And so we've been focused on behavioral data for the past couple years, and we have not seen a significant shift in that time in awareness or usage or implementation of behavioral data. We think people are still terrified of it for some reason.
It's a good point. I wish there were more creative agencies here that would listen to what is needed to really drive growth, because we get so lost in how many likes and shares do we get on our social content, rather than how did we actually target the right people with the right data set. And a lot of that, I think, happens as well because brands are responsible for their data, still are doing a very bad job with their data, because oftentimes, I see this all the time, you had two massive data sets that weren't shared. So when you tell somebody that you need to go clean your data, you get it, I get it. I mean, having worked for a large data company, that was something you do every day. To most people, you might as well speak part Greek, part Chinese, and not give them a translation guide on it, because nobody knows where to start with starting to cleanse that data.
Absolutely. We see data cleansing as an issue across the board, across industries, but also what we see is an over-reliance on one set of data rather than cross-referencing data.
Exactly.
So for example, we see a lot of companies that are reliant on Google Analytics data, and they'll make decisions based on Google Analytics data, which is a really bad idea because it can lead you to very poor
They
decisions.
have the best dashboard. I mean, they do. They built out the most wonderful dashboard that tells the best story of their data.
But I'll give you a really clear example of how it can lead you down the wrong path, the exact wrong path. So one of our clients is an enterprise software company, and they were very excited about the page views that they were seeing in Google Analytics for their money page, right? For the most important page in their website. And this was listing all the different products in their product suite. And one sale for them can be 6 figures, it can be 7 figures. So it's a big deal to have people enjoying the experience, consuming all the information on the page, fully understanding and engaging, right? And what we found when we started adding behavioral analytics to the page and analyzing it, what we found was half of the people on the page, half of the visitors, only saw one product among all the products in their product suite. So this is a major failure. They were missing most of the products that this company was selling. And that's half of the people to their money page. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it was an absolute failure, and obviously now they're redesigning the page completely, right? But if you're only relying on Google Analytics data, you're
Exactly.
thrilled at the performance, and that's the exact wrong thing to be. They should have been in panic mode when they were actually being thrilled.
So when you look at creative that you produce for somebody, and whether it's B2B or B2C, either one, and you've got that group that's making that gut reaction, how do you help explain to them that the A graphic will outperform the B graphic, even though you're comfortable with B? How do you go about helping push them towards a performance mindset, yet still sort of keep that good creative feel that they're used to?
Sure. Well, with the A/B testing, there's no risk involved because the winner is going to win, and they'll see it just as clearly as we see it. We're very transparent with the data.
They still don't listen. Some don't listen.
Some don't listen, but a lot of them do listen. And it's all about showing them. You can't tell them, you have to show them. And so you have to show them other examples of how other companies are improving their performance based on A/B testing and data and behavioral analytics. And it goes even beyond that. I mean, so one thing which I'll be talking about in my session later today on behavioral intelligence is the value of voice of the customer and extracting voice of the customer in your decision making. And for our clients, we will typically spend 6, 7, 8 hours interviewing their customers in order to understand how their customers speak about their issues and speak to their challenges, speak to what success looks like to them, speak to the industry, not just the company, but the industry. And oftentimes we'll come away with language that our customer has never thought of using before. And so there are many different ways that you can help people understand the value of changing things up, but it really needs to come from their customers. It needs to come from the data. You need to prove it kind of before they allow you to implement it.
Yeah, it's the value of focus groups, especially if you can video them, because they won't even believe your story until they've seen it themselves.
Yeah, and we do record every interview.
Yeah.
You have to record every interview and share the raw information with them as well as the extracted summaries.
So for you, why do you, I've seen you at LeadsCon, at Connect and Convert. These are favorites, I think, for both of us, these shows.
Yep.
The Access Intel team is great. They do an amazing job. What's sort of your advice to the marketers and advertisers and tech players in this space that are here that you think, they can offer that would help provide a better help to themselves and to their customers?
Yeah, so this was true in Las Vegas last year. It's true this year in Boston at both LeadsCon as well as Connect to Convert. One of the questions which I've been asking is how many people in the audience are documenting audience personas per audience segment and then developing a customer journey for each of those personas. And it's again, you're talking about less than 10% of the audience is actually doing this. And to us, this is very basic stuff. It's basic audience, understanding your audience and basic audience segmentation information. Yet, when you ask people, could you pull up immediately all of your documented audience personas and show them in the room, less than 10% of the audience is able to do that. And so I think that there's a lot of fundamental marketing that needs to take place even before you get into behavioral analytics, even before you get into conversion optimization and A/B testing. There's a lot of fundamental legwork that needs to be done, which will improve your performance no matter what you do, whether it's A/B testing, whether it's behavioral intelligence, no matter what you do. And that's understanding your audience to a depth that your competitors do not.
Well, as much as it is about data, I find the same problem with just intimidation of trying to wrap their arms around that journey.
Yes.
And attribution and as a whole. 'Cause
yes.
That's where I spend a lot of my time focused on is
right. That's
trying to show people this is what the journey actually looked like. Because we've heard for how many years that it takes 7 touches. It's so many more touches today.
Yes.
There's so much more noise. You're trying to compete out there. And when you do get somebody's attention, that creative can make all the difference in the world to help pull all the pieces together with that story. So
absolutely.
When you hire people today, and I know it's hard, especially in Boston, to find the right kind of talent for more of a performance-driven creative agency, what are you looking for that's sort of that differentiator in the typical marketer that you hire?
Right. So it depends on the role. If we're hiring a developer, we're looking
Sure.
for certain things. If we're looking for a copywriter, we're looking for certain things. If we're hiring an account lead, we're looking for different things.
Yeah.
And so let's just focus on the account lead, the person who owns the client account, and they're responsible for the client's success.
And I'm glad you focused there because that's really the interface.
Yes.
They're going to listen to you in a pitch. This happens all the time. It's one of my biggest complaints about agencies. A lot of times they don't know who that agency lead is, though, that they hire. We've been sold because Tom's an expert or because my boss is an expert. Until it gets that day-to-day person, it can make or break your relationship with an agency.
Yes. And so, honestly, we focus on attitude first and foremost above everything else. You can have years of experience in SEO, you can have years of experience in web design, but you can also have a lot of misconstrued ideas along the way. You can be taught the wrong way. And so what we find is most important is being very open-minded, being willing to learn, very coachable, very teachable, and having the right attitude. And then we apply a lot of training. And so it's like a fire hose. And every single week there's some form of training going on. Every month we have training. And we have courses that every employee needs to take. And so it's a process of teaching them the way that we believe marketing should be done, the way that we believe websites should be develop to become high performing. And again, it's this combination which is kind of unique in the industry, where we apply a lot of neuroscience to what we do. We apply a lot of data and behavioral data, especially, to what we do, where that's a lot different than a lot of creative agencies, where if it looks good, then they're really happy because it's pretty or it's stunning looking, right? And on the performance side, we see a lot of people who don't care what it looks like. They don't care about the branding impact, but they're just too focused.
Billable hours.
Yes, billable hours, and they're looking for numbers without fully understanding the audience. And so we're finding these gaps in the market, and we're trying to fill those gaps by being a bit more comprehensive and holistic with our approach.
Well, Tamsin brought it up on the keynote, and then we covered it as well when we were sitting here. There's so many different pieces of tech. You can look at all these that are great pieces of tech. They do a wonderful job in that segment, exactly what they're supposed to do. But when you try to combine them all, if you're especially on the agency side or a brand side, and you're trying to get to your end customer, whether it's B2B or B2C, that's the most crucial part today, is trying to help clients really sort of connect those dots, at least on the agency side.
Absolutely.
And I don't know enough of them that are really doing that. But when I come through an expo hall, and now that I work for an agency and I walk through this place with so many great vendors, it's very interesting to see you just sort of want to start tying, threads to them, because this one needs to connect to this, and then it's very understandable that customers can be intimidated by that data or how to pull it together, because it's hard enough just to combine the pieces of tech, then to a creative, then to an agency. It just becomes a really complex problem.
Integration is one of the biggest challenges that we see among all clients. It's really difficult. What's important is developing a dashboard that's usable, that you can be looking at all the time, and that everyone on the team...
One dashboard. Not 20. That's
correct.
Another
one
problem.
Dashboard. And so what we do for our clients is we put together a one-page dashboard, and it pulls from many different data sources. That's fine.
Exactly.
But we just want to have that one true
single view of truth. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's why I said that about Google. I mean, Google did such a great job with their analytics tool. It becomes the only one you look at. So no wonder you put all your money into a last click attribution, which they're trying to get away with. But until somebody else steps up and builds a competitive dashboard, they tell the best story. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, I don't know if you remember this question, but you have a lovely group of them off the cold waters here, but there's some big ones out there. But Tom, what is your favorite kind of shark and why?
What's my favorite kind
You
of
looked at
kind
my
of shark?
shirt to get a reference, yeah. What's your favorite kind of shark and why?
My favorite kind of shark would be, I think, the hammerhead shark.
Okay, good answer. So are you ready again for the 5 most interesting, important questions you're going to be asked today?
Sure.
All right. Number 1, Batman or Iron Man?
Iron Man.
DC versus Marvel.
Iron Man.
He's dead, though, so.
That's okay.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
That's okay. It's still Iron Man.
If they heard it at Connect to Convert, if this is the first place they heard that Iron Man died, they're in trouble. So... Number 2, convention in Boston or convention in Vegas?
Convention in Boston.
Why so?
Well,
because it's a 3-minute drive for you?
Yeah, we're based in Boston. A lot of our clients are based in New England. And so for us, because of that, it makes a lot of sense. We love the in-person meetings. We love the in-person conversations and interaction, and so for that reason, I would say Boston.
But I'm looking forward to LeadsCon Las Vegas as well.
Absolutely, going to Vegas.
Hell of an event, yeah. So same here. And as somebody who saw you spoke last year and bragged to Warren, great speech there as well. So I encourage everybody to go see him this afternoon.
Thank you.
Number 3, the Chart House or Legal Seafood?
Legal Seafood.
Really?
I've been going to Legal Seafood for decades, and so whether this is the correct answer or not, I have no idea, but I started there, and I just love it there.
All right, number 4, content marketing or lead generation?
Lead generation.
Thank you. You know the right thing to say. But at the next content marketing conference, your answer will be slightly different. No. Number 5, and the most important question you're going to be asked today is biscuits or cornbread?
What is it?
Biscuits or cornbread?
Biscuits or cornbread? I'll say cornbread.
All right, good man. So Tom, where can people find out more about you, see the session this afternoon, and find your agency as well?
Yeah, so I hope that everyone can make it to the session at 3 p.m. this afternoon on behavioral intelligence to double your website performance. And then you can find more information about me at our website, stratabeat.com. Also, my book website, rethinkyourmarketing.com.
Which is an excellent book.
Thank you. And I would encourage everyone to grab it off of Amazon. And if you want a free chapter, just go to rethinkyourmarketing.com and you can download a free chapter. And also on Twitter. So it's just, my handle is Tom Shapiro. So twitter.com/Tom Shapiro.
Perfect. Tom, thank you again for being on A Shark's Perspective.
Thanks, Shark.
So there was my conversation with Tom Shapiro, the CEO of Stratabeat, the author of Rethink Your Marketing, and he also led a couple of sessions at 2019's Connect to Convert conference. Let's take a look at 3 key takeaways from our conversation with him. First, we have more access to data than we've ever had before, but there is still too small a number of people who are leveraging that data and leveraging it in the right way, whether it's behavioral, modeled, attribution, targeted, etc. Tom brings up a good point, though. For a lot of marketers, it could be something as simple as intimidation. And data is old hat for some people, and it terrifies others. There's nothing worse than a scared or risk-averse marketer, but it's the safe spot that they know. But leveraging data is very easy for those that know how to take advantage of it, that know how to use it. So take advantage of others who can help you with this, even like me, to help you move forward. You've got to make sure that you have clean data and the right sets of data to use for the right types of metrics to measure. Second, creative agencies have not done nearly enough, in my opinion, to help drive performance. Agencies need to do a better job of using the right techniques and putting the right person in an account-facing position. Tom expressed it well with how they look for the right person. It's not easy. I find so often that one CEO or BizDev person sells an account against another CEO and BizDev team, and they sell their capabilities in tech and everything else. Then they put a junior person who maybe works well with that internal team that they think is ready for an account. And then you end up with someone without any real experience or skin in the game. And this is part of the agency problem. And then on top of that, it's taking a person with the knowledge of those types of performance tactics and putting them to play. I've seen it working on the brand side, and I hear it complained by friends over and over again. Third, let the data be the voice of the customer. If you're not able to either understand it well or show it well to your team, then let the data tell the story. Let the data be the evidence of what works. Don't go with your gut on what you think has worked only by opinion. Got a question? Send me an email to kenneth@asharksperspective.com. Thank you for the privilege of your time. So let's get connected and let's convert to the next episode of A Shark's Perspective.